Morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing today? Welcome to Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. And yes, I said so far. Today's not the end of the week. Maybe the end of the work week, but not the end of the week. So, on that note, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing Sunday to make next week better? What are you doing today to make the weekend better? What are you doing right now to make the next hour better? So, what are you doing? I'd love to see you in the comments. Please might need to provide restream with permission so we can see your name if you leave a comment. Otherwise, we'll just see Facebook user or whatever. So please give restream permission, yada yada. And again, today's episode is brought to you by Kenny Ingersoll TV. Please go check it out, kennyyingersolltv.weebly.com. Few announcements. We've got collaboration book project coming up. Excuse me. We are part of a fundraiser at Thanksgiving Point coming up in August. We will have more details coming up on that. So for all of our events, and we'll have more details updated, please check out ingersollenterprises.weebly.com. So we've got some book things coming up. We've got some events coming up. As always, this show every Friday morning. And today we have a special guest, JD, born and raised in Utah, oldest of 5 siblings, father and husband. He's got a deep passion for helping people discover their power from the inside. And I want to jump into that more, so that's going to be awesome. Loves being real, be honest with yourself. And as I always say, be honest, not Instagram honest. And knowing it's okay to be where you are, but doesn't have to be your destination. So without further ado, we will bring on JD.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Hey JD, how are ya?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am doing well, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and thank you for the invite.
So it looks like you're en route to somewhere.
I am. I'm out helping a company right now I do some coaching with, and so I'm in the middle of working with them and their meetings this morning, and so this is kind of my destination is in the truck.
That works. Been there, done that.
So
So, born and raised in Utah, father and husband. How long have you been married? How old's your kids?
I have been married. I've been married twice. But this relationship we've been together for 9 years. We've got total of 5 kids now. The oldest one being my oldest he'll be 14 in October. And then I've got 11, 2, and I just had a baby born last Monday.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing
So
that you had in your intro, sorry, what was that?
no, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. One thing you had in your intro was helping people discover the power from within.
Right.
So I want to jump into that because that's huge. Oftentimes, we look for outside resources to give us those powers, those permissions, those circumstances.
Right.
How do you help people address that? How do you help people find, and then more importantly, what's the significance of that?
Okay. So when I talk about, finding finding it within. And when I talk to people, because a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people look to outside resources, which ends up turning into, I mean, you can get a lot of good information. There's helpful people out there, but you also too will find people that will also tell you what you want to hear. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, just being real, is misery loves company, right? So if you get out to the wrong people and stuff, and they're miserable, and they say you're trying to change things, well, it makes them feel good, and like they'll agree with you if you have something going on in your life. It people, it's really hard, but people have a hard time seeing other people doing better than them. Um, and I mean that's not saying everybody, but it's the world we live in. It really is, and it's unfortunate. So and when I talk about the power within and bringing in from internally, it's just because I've given my own life experiences, and what I mean by that is it's the thing that keeps us all moving is hope, right? No matter what situation we're in, it's bringing that place of hope and that place of faith that things are going to be better. And so instead of throwing in the towel and giving up, I've been in moments where I didn't know how I was going to pay the bills, and it's like, and I'm sure a lot of people, especially right now in these economic times, they're like, I don't know how I'm going to continue to just get to and from work. You know what I mean? And so, but that goes with other things internally. A lot of people will give up their dreams because they don't see a way. They lose that hope. They lose that faith. They lose that power. And the truth is people have everything that they need within inside them to make it all happen. They don't tap into their full potential. They don't do the personal development that they need to on themselves. A lot of us, with everything, all the distractions around us are, we got cell phones, we've got streaming services, by the time people get done home with work, a lot of them want to just kick on Netflix because they're just burnt out from the day. They don't, you have to work on yourself. You have to do things. You have to be growing. You have to you have to gain knowledge, whether it's reading books, listen to audios, even just spending time in nature. And I mean, I'm not here to go on a religious anything because I'm not that guy, but on a spiritual level, like connecting, trying to change my vibrations, keep my vibrations going up, feeling like you're one with it, because that's what we are. We're energy. We're surrounded by energy. And if you're not in tune with your frequency, and you're not in tune with the frequency of the life that you want to attract to you, you're going to attract the exact opposite, exactly what you don't want.
Absolutely, and I could tell by what you said and your body language, that you're passionate about it, and you've discovered this on more than one occasion firsthand. You
Oh, yeah.
know, and when you start realizing that it does feel like work. I have to do this self development. I have to read this book or whatever. But as you get into it and in tune with that frequency, as you said, it turns into I can't wait to.
Right.
You know, I've got half a dozen books right here because I love picking them up, and I'll read a chapter or a paragraph or whatever, and just out of random and stuff because it's so um what's the word? It's addicting in a way, in a good way. You know,
Right.
like you, as much as you want to see that next series on Netflix, I want to open the next book or listen to the next podcast.
Right. No, which is every morning I put on podcasts and stuff because to listen to wherever I'm driving, whatever I'm doing for the day, just to get me jump started um, in my day, to keep my head in the right place. That's the thing, is you got to put the things to keep your mind in the right place, because a lot of us, a lot of people, they're stuck in that 9 to 5, right? And so what do they look forward to? They look forward to the same thing they did yesterday, most of them, right? Or the day before that, not seeing this end in sight, not seeing that, hey, how can I break this chain? And that was something that really stood out to me too, is because I grew up with a family, the work class, which was, um, you get a job, you work till you retire kind of situation, you live off your 401k and your retirement and those kinds of things. And I've always, that's what's considered normal, is to wake up, you pay for the car, you have a car payment that you pay for to drive you to that job, the money you make from that job to buy your clothes to usually work at that job, and then use that job to pay for the home that you're usually not at, so you have a somewhere to go sleep, right? So it's like this cycle, this never-ending cycle, and that's what was, considered normal. And I've always just been somebody that internally I was like, this isn't normal. Like, this isn't living. This isn't prosperous. It isn't a purpose. You know what I mean? And I get it. A lot of us, we go out and we do what we have to do. I've been in that situation where you just got to go out and do it. I mean, I've gone to the point where I drove for Uber. I did Grubhub, whatever I had to make sure that I could take care of my family. That's my job. I'm dad. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes situation. But because I have setbacks or things that, figure other things out, doesn't mean that I can't make like it's just baby steps, not these big steps. So I baby steps, even if it's something that you only 5 minutes aside for the day and do. As long as you're consistently progressing, those 5 minutes over a month, that adds up. Those 5 minutes over a year, that adds up. Over 5 years, you can connect the dots backwards, exactly where you were and how you got to be further. But if you don't make any changes and you keep that, you're going to work, you have dreams and aspirations, but you don't act on any of it, and you don't apply anything in your life or try to educate yourself, you can connect dots backwards real simple. You can go back to the dots. You've been continuously waking up in the morning. Get ready for work by 8 o'clock in the morning. You go to lunch at noon. You're done with lunch. You drive home at 4. You come home. You deal with the kids and stuff, and maybe you're maybe not happy wife, happy life situation. You turn on TV for a minute. You eat dinner. You go to bed. You wake up and do it again. That's not what we're here for. We're here to be prosperous. We're supposed to be here to be helpful to each other. We're supposed to be inspirational. We're supposed to be have aspirations and desires. That's not why we were put on this earth, is just to live, pay taxes and die. It's not what it's really about. We've got so many blessings around us and so much opportunity. And the world that we live in, especially right now, there's some very uncertain times, right? This is a time that instead of, we all need to come together. We need to help people out. We need to help each other. It doesn't matter what background is. It doesn't matter the color. And none of come together and bring this together.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you brought up a couple key points that that I want to address, and the 9 to 5. And I used to be in the 9 to 5 and stuff, and I hated it. And I thought it was just because of the grind, like you mentioned. The wake up, go to work, go home, go to sleep.
Right.
But getting into this material more and the self development or whatever that path looks like for you, there's certainly not one size fits all. I realized it's because that job was not aligned with me. There are others where that job is perfect alignment, and
Right.
their goals are different stuff and whatever. So, you know, absolutely, and that just brings up another point again that I emphasize a lot is, just because my goal is over here doesn't mean your goal has to be, or my goal doesn't have to match what it says on Facebook. And if your
Right.
goal is this and my goal is over here, that's totally okay. That's totally fine. So what I do, some people may hate. It may be miserable for them.
Right.
The business I'm in or the schedule I have or whatever, it may be um miserable for someone else. Because it doesn't
Right.
align with their purpose. It doesn't align with who they are. And they may not realize that, but that's from what I found from my personal experiences, that's why you're often miserable, because you don't have alignment and because you're not pursuing those goals, those aspirations like you talked about. And
Right.
then another thing that I love that you pointed out is, excuse me, is being able to, you know that we're here to serve each other and want to serve, because I find a lot of gratitude when I serve. All
Absolutely.
this stuff that I have, it's just sits there until it's used.
Right.
And providing service and supporting each other and living those dreams and helping other is is where I get a lot of fulfillment. I have a truck, and it's often said around where I live, and stuff, that if you have a truck, someone's going to ask you to help them move
Right.
or do
That is a true
something for
story,
them. You
especially
know,
here in Utah, man.
yeah, yeah, and or something, whatever you could apply that to, whatever. If you have XYZ, someone's gonna borrow it if you know how to cook, or if you know how to fix cars, or whatever you're good at. You're gonna have people in your neighborhood flocking to you, or something.
Right.
And it used to annoy the heck out of me. But when I got more in tune with my frequency, with who I am, and understand that I have that talent, those things, those trucks, the whatever, to serve others, I get more joy out of it. I'm
Right.
like, I'm glad I have that now, because it
Right.
makes me happy to make someone else happy. And oh, I just lost my train of thought again for a second, but it'll come back to me. But yeah, so oh yeah, you mentioned something about 5 minutes a day or whatever, 5 minutes a week or whatever, that little increment that you can um commit to self development. And there's a saying that I like to use. It's if you don't think 1 degree or 1% is big, ask a pilot. Because it may not seem like much 5 feet away from the airport, but when you get 6,000 miles away, it's a huge. So when you're
Right.
when you're down the road 6 months, 8 months, a year from now, even that 5 minute little thing every month, every day, or whatever it is, makes a huge difference.
Right. Well, and with that, it's again taking those steps. And I wanted to go back on something really quick that you talked about is aligning with your purpose. There's people out there that, as you said, have jobs and stuff, and that job that it aligns with them. They really love that job, or they have that job because it allows them to do something else outside of it that provides them to be able to do, such as hobby, right?
Oh,
I mean, I've got
absolutely.
friends that they don't like absolutely love their job, but they love their job because it provides them to do. They love motocross, for example, right? They love something that it's outside, so that it provides them whatever that endorphin that makes them excited for why they're there, right? And that's something again with everybody. It's aligning yourself or finding that purpose, and I think that was something I struggled with for a very long time. From even my childhood and stuff. Like I've been the guy that I've worked construction, I've done mechanic work, and I've done sales. And in all of it, I mean, sales was kind of my favorite just because of the one-on-one connection, but also too at the end of the day, it was like, hey, I'm selling a product that helps you, but like, am I truly, truly helping you? Like it was one of those things. Like, did I change your something in your heart, or did I just find some money in your wallet situation? And that still wasn't aligning. And so that was the biggest thing is like you got so many people out there that are struggling. You don't know what people have going on at home. There's a lot of people that put this face on that everything's okay, and they might be breaking down inside and they just need somebody to tell them that's going to be okay. You know, everything's going to work out. And that's the biggest thing. And that's what I'm trying to pursue. And that's what I'm working on is to become the world's best hope coach. Like, I want to be able to instill hope into millions of lives and be able to, I mean, that's a pretty big shoes to fill, right? But it's definitely something that we need. We need to be able to help find that inner passion. And you talked about serving, right? How you like serving your neighbors. You got something that you find the gratitude in it, right? And that comes back to being able to serve. Steve Harvey, somebody that I love to follow. He's on my bucket list to make sure I see him. But um, he says, or no, it was Les Brown. Sorry. So Les Brown said this, but um, and again, if you're religious or not, is Not here to go on that at all, but the service you pay here on Earth is the rent you pay to be here. Okay? So like that's what we're here is to help serve our fellow men and to do better and to be better than what we were yesterday.
I love that. You know, and I love the quote. I think it fits right in. You know, you're you're not in competition with anyone else. You're only in competition with who you were yesterday.
Right.
You know, so as you become better, you're going to help those around you become better. I mean, let's talk about it for a minute. How have your has your wife and your kids been impacted by what you're doing as a hope coach and the self development that you're going through?
It's been um it's been honestly a big change. I mean, me and my wife, we've gone through a lot over the last 10 years. Things that we didn't know or think we were going to make it through, right? And that perceivance that we can do better and be better. And then like I've got a great marriage. I love my and then my kids too. Done. Especially where he's starting to at 14 years old, he starts to understand and grasp a lot of things, And he just him and his mindset and his development, like he is very, very humble. Like he wants, like he'll tell me about some shoes he wants. It's like $200, right? And I'm like, that's nice, like But he also too is very like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Obviously, everybody dreams of having, they would love to have certain things, right? And I'm like, if he wants those shoes and we can make a way. Like that's besides the point. But the fact that he is just very humble, he's very respectful. He opens the door. He calls women ma'am. And like people are like, oh, it's military or from the South. I'm like, this is just it's how I was growing up. It's old school. You just respect people around you. And I mean, I expect obviously respect in return, but yeah, it's the impact it's had on my son. He thinks about things and wants to do things that are so far beyond what a 14-year-old should be thinking. Most of the time it's about baseball and sports, and he does play ball. He loves it, but he also too has talked about being, he'd love to be. He's gone up. He went for a tour, but he wants to. I mean, it changes, but he's really been gun ho on the fact of like doing law school at 14 years old. So doing things like that, he went and was like, I want to be a district attorney. So change him over to like a business attorney situation. But either way, whatever his dream is, if he wanted to go be a ball player, he wants to go be an attorney, he wants to be a mechanic, whatever. My job is to support him at the fullest and help him align himself with the purpose to make sure that every day he goes to work or whatever it is that he is doing, that he feels fulfilled every single day.
100%. You know, support him, show him things that are possible, show him, like with my son, I'll I'll expand his mind, I'll show him things that he wouldn't have even dreamt of, you know.
Right,
Um he's already done things that when I was his age I had no idea even existed, you know.
right,
You know, he's been to Jamaica at 6 years old. When I was six
right.
years old, I didn't know where Sandy was.
That's
you, you
awesome.
know, and it's just because um we didn't know what we didn't know. You know, my parents knew this, and that's what they knew, and so no fault of anyone's own. And I'm not trying to imply that at all or anything, but just we know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. You know,
Right,
and so
right,
I want him to do that. I want him to surpass me like 100-fold or more.
right,
So I'm constantly, hey, what about this? Try this. Let's go do this. I'm scared, Dad. Okay, let's go do it anyways. Let's go try that. I'm certainly not putting him in dangerous situations or anything like that. But
right,
know, um, even even fishing at 5 years old can be scary. The slimy fish is flapping around or whatever it is.
right,
Just pushing him outside his normal boundary, a little bit, and having him experience that more and stuff, and and also just him seeing me do it. If Dad can do it, I can do stuff like that too. But if I don't do that, if I don't come back here and do my self development study, I'm back in my office, or if I don't, take the time to work on myself or whatever, what example am I setting for him?
Right.
Or those around us or whatever. If I don't work on myself and become better, um, if I don't, in a sense, become selfish or greedy and work on myself and improve myself, I can't help others. Like
Right.
the oxygen mask in an airplane analogy. People think we've been raised and conditioned with the thought that doing things for yourself, taking care of yourself, improving yourself or whatever is selfish or greedy, for if that's what we're doing or whatever. Um, but if we're doing it correctly and for the right purposes, it's not selfish or greedy at all.
Oh, absolutely not. And I mean, I'm sure you've gone down that road, and I've done it several times. I even still catch myself doing it because we're human, right? Even doing what you're doing and what I'm doing doesn't mean that we're perfect or that we have days that, come up that are harder than others. But it's just that right there, we want to serve. Naturally, you want to help other people. And sometimes it comes at the expense of ourselves. And that is something that you have to become consciously aware of. You have to be consciously aware of when to draw the line and when to, hey, look, I would love to, but right now I just can't. Like, I've got to take care of number one. If you don't take care of number one, how are you supposed to take care of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right?
Exactly. What good is my truck to
So,
anyone if I don't put maintenance on it?
right. And you said something a minute ago talking about helping your switch just a little bit further, right? And that's something I grew over the last 10 years, especially, but got very comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you're not willing to be uncomfortable, don't expect change. If you're looking for change, you're looking for aspirations, and you're trying to dig your heels in and get deeper with yourself. Like, if you don't get uncomfortable with things that are uncomfortable, you'll never experience growth. You'll never be pushed beyond that because you have to be uncomfortable. You have to realize that at the end of the day, there's only one you, there's only one Kenny, there's only one JD, there's only one, whoever, there's only one. At the end of the day, what happens? You were born, and at the end of your life, you will pass away. Like those two guarantees right there. At the end of that time, it comes, are you going to look back and be like, man, I'm so glad that I listened to everybody's opinions about myself? When no, you're not. You'd be like, I shouldn't have cared what they thought. I shouldn't have cared what they said, because at the end of the day, that's not them. The reason they have so much time to, people give great opinions and stuff, great. Everybody loves praisal. But if people are out there trolling and they're being negative, or they're trying to discourage you or say, you can't do that, you can't make that happen. Like, the reason they're telling you that is because, one, they aren't putting enough time into themselves to go after their own dreams, and two is because they don't want to see you do it because they didn't have the guts to do it themselves.
Yeah,
So,
and oftentimes to go along with that, we think we have to know everything, or we have the imposter syndrome. Because we're our own worst critic. What if I mess up? Then what? And we do value those opinions and stuff, but or what if they find out that I don't know everything, that I still have to get help and stuff, whatever. And again, to your point, who cares? So what? So
right,
what Facebook thinks? You
right.
know,
Well,
it's something.
I've gotten hit just like that. Sorry to interrupt, but you talk about the imposter, right? And it's like I've done things where I say things and stuff, and they're like, "What, are you trying to be like Tony Robbins?" I'm like, "No, I'm JD." But if some stuff comes across like him, or comes across like Les Brown, or my good friend Laban Ditchburn, Everybody starts off somewhat as an imposter. I'm sorry, I don't care what industry it is in, okay, at all. If you want to talk about imposter, let's get all the way down to the bare minimum of it, right? A mechanic that picks up a 5/16 wrench to put on a bolt, to loosen that bolt, then teaches a guy to do the same thing, or the guy sees him do it. If he goes and picks that wrench up and moves a bolt the same direction, is he imposturing the mechanic? Is it offensive? No, it's not. It's learning. And then you have your own personality, your own growth into it. You know, if I go into a hospital, I need surgery, and I'm like, I look at the doctor and I'm like, so who are you imposturing? Just so I can make sure. I want to check that guy's cut out first before you cut me open. Would we get anywhere? No. That everybody has to learn. And in the game, it's about being you. But you have to start somewhere, It's like jobs. I'm sure you've seen this all the time, right? It makes me laugh. When a job's all, hey, we're looking to hire for X position, but we want 12 years of experience, stuff, right? And then you apply for the job, and you're like, how do I get it when they won't give me a chance to get the experience, right? How many times have you seen that? It makes me laugh.
Unfortunately, all the time.
It makes me laugh. But they don't step back and be like, we started somewhere. We didn't know this stuff. So
Yeah.
sorry to go on a little tangent there, but it's something that
no, and we need to realize that and stuff, because what I was saying was, everybody thinks that they have to know everything, when they start out, or they'll have that imposter syndrome, or what if they find out I don't know everything? What if they find out I have a mentor or whatever? First off, who cares? Second off, to your point, Tony Robbins. The Tony Robbins today still has mentors.
absolutely
And and he started off driving an old beat up car that he was embarrassed for people to see, so he would park blocks away from the seminars that he would go to, you know, and now he's got a place in Fiji and his own jet and whatever. Heck yeah, I'll follow some of what he does. If it's aligned with where I want to go, I'm gonna implement some
right,
of that.
right,
Heck yeah, I'm going
right.
to.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like when they talk about being an imposter, right? So I mean, we all listen to several podcasts and motivational people and things that can change. But how many times, and I'm going to ask everybody that's on this show and that's watching this show right now, but how many times have you heard something from, let's even just say your mom or your dad, right? They told you something, they gave you advice on something, and you're like, it didn't like really strike with you. But then you heard the same advice come from a friend, and it just like clicked, right? So I could give the same message. Kenny could give the same message that any of these other speakers out there that are doing, and it may have not clicked because of how it came across or who it came from, but it might be that one person that does it. Something they said, a little tweak, a little difference, and all of a sudden that light bulb goes off, and you're like, wow. I've been in that before where I'm like, I recall something, right? I'm like, oh, so that's what this guy was trying to teach me, right? Instead, so when talk about being an imposter, sometimes maybe it's down the line. Maybe you sometimes feel like you're an imposter when you're out there trying to do stuff, but people still need messages. They need to hear it, and they need to hear ways to be able. Sometimes it's just the way it connects with people. It's different. Me and you could say the exact same thing, Kenny, and that message will come off differently from you as it would me.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, again, being pigeonholed the way we're conditioned, people think that uh, entrepreneurship and jobs and whatever are like in three different categories, and in a respect they are, because they pigeonhole like gurus and entrepreneurs who have to know everything, or you're copying so and so. But
Right.
if you go to any corporate job, you know the new hire is doing exactly what the trainer, the manager, is telling them to do. This is how you do
Right.
this. This is how you do this. So we're all imposters if you think about it in some form or another, or
Right.
copycats, whatever you want to call it. But the differences, I think, are A, is it lining up with who you are, and B, what are you learning, and is it helping you get to your goals?
Right.
You know, because if like we talked about earlier, if copying Tony Robbins to some degree is helping me get to my goal, I'm all for it. Sign me up.
Right. Well, they say out there, like if you want a certain lifestyle, or you want, you find somebody that you idol, or somewhere around people that you live or whatever, you see something, and I hate the strong word. I don't, when you see things, but let's be real with the world. People want a nicer home. People want a nicer vehicle. They want reliability. They want stability, right? Everybody wants that. The way things are going so fast, and people are at a point like delayed gratification. That's a big thing that I see a lot of folks struggle with, because I'm the same way, You put in all this time and all this work and all this effort and stuff, and you're just like, I want it and I want it right now. But it's not the way that the true gratification works. Like when it's delayed and you work for it. Um, but where I was going with that is, find people that have what you want, circle yourself with them, and learn from them. Make friendships, network. If you find somebody that's got a lifestyle you want, I heard this, and I wish I would have done this back in my late teens, early 20s. I wish I would have found somebody and told them, look, I will work for free for 180 days. And like I would have got a job just to make this happen. But find somebody that had the success, whatever I could do, like I will work for you free. Like if I gotta clean the toilet, I don't care what it is. Like I'll work for you for free, but like give me all my knowledge. Like take your time and teach me. Right? If I would have done that, we would be so much further steps ahead in life. And again, it's one of those things you could have, right? But also too, again, I'm grateful for what I've been through, because the hardships that I've gone through with me and my family. Not me personally. I grew up in a family that I had a sister pass away from a drug overdose. Um, my family fell apart due to a dad and drugs. I was given up for adoption when I was younger. Married, divorced. It's been an up and down thing. Remarried. We've gone through our struggles, the jobs. And that's been the biggest thing, is I don't think I'd be who I am today if I hadn't had gone through those things, right? And to find the courage and the hope and the faith that even though being where I'm at or where I was at, like I have another chance. I woke up. That's a blessing right there. And to be grateful for what I have, and to be able to share my story and share my experiences, in hope that people can find that even when they're going through a hard time, when people are facing very hard financial economic ship, and it feels like they're pinned between a rock and a hard spot and don't know where to go, don't know where to breathe, right? That goes with something that it's important to talk about, but like suicide rates are up astronomically, and it's because people feel like they don't know where to go. People are lost, and so like understand, like tomorrow's a new day. Reach out, get help, work with people around you. There's people out there that do want to help or can hopefully connect you. And there's a lot of us here online, Kenny, like yourself, that if something's going on, people can, follow you on Facebook. They might be able to get something inspiration. They can reach out. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing. What if what we're doing, all it did was save one life? Right there, that's worth it.
Absolutely. And I think that segues into something perfect. But before we get to that, couple of things that you mentioned that I want to point out is, you know, instead of looking at your past as a negative, certainly acknowledge what it was, but I challenge people that might have those similar situations or whatever challenge past you had. What good came from it? What can I learn? How did I grow? How did it help me become me from that? And then and also, just that doesn't make any less advantage or any less um opportunity to succeed. So
Right.
you still have those opportunities to succeed at whatever your goal is, regardless of your past. Now
Right.
Yeah, and you can use those to your advantages. It can help you become a stronger person, whatever. So I think it's so easy to fall into that trap of, well, I had this happen, so I can't, or this person has money, or they're related to this person, or whatever, or their
Right.
dad is this person, so they have these advantages. But
Right. Well,
at
they
one,
say there's a saying. Sorry to interrupt, but it reminds me. I heard a talk, but it talks about the difference between the guy that's homeless on the side of the street, and I've met people that have been homeless and stuff that are extremely intelligent, right? But you got somebody on the street and you got somebody that's up in the executive office in a high rise, right? What's the difference between the two of them? What really is different, it's the way they were growing up, the way they were raised. It was at the end of the day, it was the way the cards were dealt, right? However, the guy down there can make the opportunity and have the same opportunity as the guy up top, and that same guy up there could end up right down there where he's at, right? We always can change our deck. We can always get a better hand. We can replay. Just when you fold is when you're done. And being able to understand that the one biggest thing that I look at with people is at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, how you are, who you are. We both put our pants on the same way this morning, one leg at a time, right? That's what it is. And so going out there and going after it, like I said, at the end of the day, we're here to help each other. We're here to inspire. If you're able to wake up and put your pants on again, like that's a great feeling. That should be a blessing that you feel, because what that moment can be taken away from you at any moment, and we don't know when that moment will be. So,
this goes back to that love and support and respect you were talking about earlier. And you just mentioned a minute ago of reaching out and connecting and networking, and that's what I wanted to segue into. Um, you have something for the listeners, is that correct?
yeah, absolutely.
So, it's a coaching call for all the listeners. Will you expand a little more on that
Yes.
and how to get a hold of you and where
Yeah.
to
So,
find you? And
yeah. So, you can look me up just on Facebook, Instagram right now, JD Greenhalgh, the world's best. I will give out anybody that's on this call. I will give a free 30-minute session. See if where I can help. See if we can go over things and just see if I can help inspire that little bit of hope and that faith that you might need to be able to push forward and to move to the next day. And then if things go past that and stuff, obviously I am a coach for hire. But yeah, I just want to be able to help as many people as I can. That's the end of the day. That's the bottom line goal. Is I've been there and I still go through my times where it's like you need a little bit of help. You need some guidance, right? And so just know that you're not alone, that you can get through whatever it is that you're going through. And if you're even at a spot you have success and you just need that little bit, you need that push, you need that inspiration, you need that drive, you need somebody to talk to. Definitely look me up, send me a message. Also, too, you can reach me out on my cell phone, um, giving that out, but 801 822 2918. Again, it's 801 822 2918.
22918.
Yep.
Make sure that's correct.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. And so like you said, reach out. There's lots of resources, if you need help with whatever, there's someone that can help. You know,
Right.
so awesome, JD. I appreciate that. Thank you for
And
taking the
being
time to
real
be
with that, I just want to put this out there, as Kenny mentioned, we're still growing, like I'm not perfect in being straight. I might not have the answers, but I'm somebody that will help get the answers. I will find the answers and stuff. I'm not afraid to admit, and I'm growing, I am still growing. I will be growing every single day until the day that I die. So just know that we're all in this pool together. As one of my friends like to say, we're all just squirrels out here trying to chase a nut, right? And so, but let's make sure we're helping all the squirrels. So,
awesome. Love that. All ships rise with the tide if we help each other. Again, thanks for being
Absolutely.
here, JD. I appreciate it. Everyone who is tuning in, feel free to reach out to either one of us. I'll put his cell phone back up there. Shoot him a text, call him, whatever, great resources. And please remember to live your passion, fulfill your purpose, and explore the